When Gu Yin and the others heard that Lin Dong intended to confront two half-step life mystique stage demonic beasts, their expressions subtly shifted. These beasts weren't ordinary creatures. Even a fellow half-step life mystique stage expert would struggle to emerge victorious against them. Forget it. Lin Dong stared at the three demonic beasts ahead, his brow furrowing slightly. He glanced in the direction the black dragon bandits had fled earlier. If they were all delayed here, the vital profound spirit fruit would surely fall into someone else's hands. Miss Gu Yin, you should lead everyone forward. I'll handle these three beasts myself. Initially, when Gu Yin and the others heard Lin Dong's first sentence, they thought he was reconsidering and would abandon the idea of fighting two beasts alone. However, when he followed up with this second sentence, it left them speechless. They stared at Lin Dong in shock. Was he seriously planning to take on all three half-step life mystique stage demonic beasts by himself? Time is running out. You need to catch up, or someone else will seize the vital profound spirit fruit before we do, Lin Dong added, sensing their disbelief. You. Gu Yin hesitated, but quickly gritted her teeth and nodded. From their interactions over the past few days, she knew Lin Dong wasn't the type to act recklessly. If he said he could hold off these three beasts, he must have had some confidence. Besides, they didn't have the luxury of time to waste here. Be careful. If you can't handle it, retreat. We'll be waiting for you ahead, Gu Yin advised firmly. Without further delay, she waved her hand and darted toward the depths of the mountain. The Gu clan disciples hesitated briefly, but swiftly followed her lead. Be careful, big brother Lin Dong. We'll wait for you, Guya said worriedly. Lin Dong waved without turning back, his gaze locked on the three demonic beasts ahead. Once the sound of their departure faded, his expression grew focused. These three half-step life mystique stage demonic beasts wouldn't be easy to deal with. The three massive beasts let out low, violent roars. In their blood-red eyes, there was a glint of cunning and ferocity. By reaching this level of strength, they had already developed considerable intelligence. If their bloodlines were purer, they might have been able to take human form by now, making them even harder to defeat. Although the Gu clan disciples were retreating, the three beasts didn't try to stop them. Instead, they focused their blood-red eyes on Lin Dong, sensing a dangerous aura emanating from him. In the next moment, the three beasts' eyes flashed with murderous intent. Their hooves stomped down, and they transformed into three crimson streaks of light, attacking Lin Dong in a highly coordinated formation, maximizing their combined strength. Faced with their flawless teamwork, Lin Dong's expression became grave. He lightly tapped the ground with his toes, swiftly dodging two incoming attacks while retreating rapidly. Whoosh! But just as he moved, a sharp wind swept from behind him. A fierce demonic beast, resembling a leopard, lunged with its razor-sharp claws aimed at his back. Boom! In midair, Lin Dong forcibly twisted his body, gathering azure light on his fist. A faint dragon's roar could be heard as he punched directly at the beast's sharp claws. A muffled thud echoed as a powerful ripple of energy spread outward. Lin Dong was forced back several steps, while the beast was knocked to the ground, leaving a long, deep trench behind it. Whoosh! Whoosh! As the first beast landed, roars erupted from both sides of Lin Dong. The other two demonic beasts had already encircled him, their attacks executed with impressive precision. Damn! These beasts are troublesome, Lin Dong muttered, narrowing his eyes. This was his first time seeing demonic beasts work together so seamlessly. But I don't have time to waste on you, he muttered, aware that many powerful individuals were making their way deeper into Xinling Mountain. He couldn't afford to be delayed here while others claimed the treasure. Taking a deep breath, Lin Dong exhaled slowly. As he did, a faint azure light began to shimmer across his body. The glow intensified rapidly, and soon, azure dragon patterns appeared on his skin, while deep within his pupils, a dragon coiled. Roar! A low dragon's roar resonated from Lin Dong's body, seemingly causing the very air to tremble. A subtle yet undeniable pressure began to emanate from him. As the pressure spread, the three demonic beasts' blood-red eyes flickered with fear. Their violent aura was forcibly suppressed by the overwhelming heavenly dragon aura Lin Dong exuded. Under the oppressive force of the dragon's power, the beasts, despite their half-step life mystique stage strength, felt an innate fear, deep within their bloodlines and souls. If they hadn't been so strong, they might have already turned tail and fled in terror. Swoosh! Brilliant azure light erupted from Lin Dong's body. The dragon patterns on his skin detached and transformed into 4 azure dragons, coiling around his limbs. Their presence radiated an overwhelming strength akin to that of true dragons. Lin Dong clenched his fists, feeling the mountain-crushing power coursing through him. A satisfied smile tugged at his lips. In the next moment, he stomped down hard, sending cracks spreading like spiderwebs from where he stood as his figure shot forward like a blur of light. Lin Dong's figure appeared first before a massive demonic beast. Azure light surged around him as his fist shot forward, and the coiling azure dragon of light on his arm roared out, crashing fiercely into the beast's shield-like body. A burst of azure arcs exploded from Lin Dong's fist, followed by a deep rumble. The giant beast was sent flying backward, its anguished roar echoing through the forest. Roar! Roar! The 2 remaining demonic beasts, seeing this, had their beastly eyes flash with a murderous glint. However, before they could make a move, Lin Dong's silhouette ghosted in front of them again. His body twisted mid-air in a half-spin, and his legs drew arcs of azure light. With a thunderous dragon's roar, he unleashed a blow as heavy as a mountain onto their massive bodies. Boom! Boom! The violent force poured out like a storm, sending the 2 enormous beasts crashing to the ground with a tremendous thud. Suspended in midair, Lin Dong was encircled by the azure light dragon, his imposing presence resembling that of a dragon king radiating boundless might. Roar! The 3 injured demonic beasts struggled to rise once more, but now their eyes showed a flicker of fear. The oppressive heavenly dragon aura radiating from Lin Dong stifled their power significantly. Even so, their fierce nature held strong. Though hesitant, they locked their eyes on Lin Dong, carefully watching for the moment to strike a lethal blow. Lin Dong furrowed his brow slightly at this sight. Suddenly, the azure light in his eyes intensified, and with a burst of brilliance from his body, his form transformed into a massive coiled azure dragon. The overwhelming heavenly dragon aura erupted even more fiercely. As the giant dragon appeared out of thin air, terror finally overtook the 3 demonic beasts, filling their eyes. In the depths of the forest, over a dozen figures swiftly moved through the trees, their eyes cautiously scanning the surroundings. Gu Yinjia, will Brother Lin Dong be okay? Little Ya asked as she trailed behind Gu Yin, her eyes constantly flicking to the rear. Unable to contain her worry, she finally voiced her concern. Gu Yan's brows furrowed slightly before she shook her head and said, "No one would willingly throw their life away. Lin Dong wouldn't either. If he chose to stay behind, it's because he's confident. With his strength, even if he can't defeat those 3 demonic beasts, escaping shouldn't be too difficult." As she finished speaking, Gu Yan's eyes couldn't help but glance backward. If Lin Dong were to be held up here, their situation would indeed become dire. "I hope he really knows what he's doing," she muttered. Just as the words left her mouth, her eyes suddenly sharpened. She turned her head abruptly to see a familiar, lean figure dashing toward them like a bolt of lightning. A faint scent of blood lingered around him. The members of the Gu clan halted in shock, staring at the swiftly approaching young figure with disbelief. "It's done. Let's move. Head straight for the depths of Xinling Mountain. There should be no further obstacles ahead," Lin Dong said with a casual smile, barely acknowledging their astonishment. Without another word, he shot off toward the mountain's depths, leaving behind a group of young people still reeling in shock. As they continued on their journey, Lin Dong's group encountered no further troublesome resistance. The vast Xinling Mountain housed only 8 demonic beasts at the half-step life mystique stage. With Lin Dong having taken down 3 of them, it was likely that no other beasts of such strength remained in this area. Ordinary demonic beasts, though numerous, were naturally no match for Lin Dong and his party, who tore through them like wolves through sheep. Whoosh! The dozen figures lightly tapped the branches for support before leaping forward, breaking through the dense forest canopy and into the blinding sunlight. The sudden brightness caused their eyes to squint momentarily before they quickly adjusted. Their gazes were met by an expanse of vibrant greenery. In the distance, a massive lake stretched out, spanning nearly 1,000 meters. Its surface shimmered under the sunlight, and a gentle breeze sent small ripples across its calm waters. As Lin Dong and his group arrived at the lakeside, the sound of wind-breaking footsteps echoed from all around as other figures emerged from the forest and landed nearby. So, this is the deepest part of Xinling Mountain. Gu Yan's beautiful eyes swept over the tranquil lake. A trace of heat flickered in her gaze as she spoke in a low voice. Lin Dong nodded slightly. He could feel the immense vitality that permeated this region. The primordial energy here was several times denser than in other areas. Looks like everyone's made it. Lin Dong's gaze swept around the lakeshore, where members of the Wei clan and other powerful factions they had encountered at the foot of the mountain had also gathered. From the bloodstains on some of their bodies, it was clear their journey had been far from peaceful. As Lin Dong was surveying the scene, he noticed that the Black Dragon Bandits, in the distance, were staring at them in shock. Their expressions darkened, clearly surprised that Lin Dong's group had managed to slip past the 3 half-step life mystique stage demonic beasts so quickly. These guys, Gu Yan's eyes were cold as she glared at the Black Dragon Bandits, clearly still furious over their earlier deceitful tactics. Lin Dong cast a casual glance at the bandits before shifting his focus back to the center of the lake. The vital, profound spirit fruit only appears when the sun and moon converge, and the time is almost upon us. Gu Yan glanced at the gradually setting sun and spoke. What about the 3-headed demonic flood dragon? Lin Dong asked as his gaze shifted. Earlier, Gu Yan had mentioned that deep within Xinling Mountain, there was a 3-headed demonic flood dragon whose strength had reached the minor completion of the life mystique stage. It should be lurking in the depths of that lake. At such a level, its intelligence rivals that of humans, Gu Yan said solemnly, her wary eyes fixed on the calm and unfathomable lake. Lin Dong gave a slight nod. He knew this was merely the calm before the storm. As soon as the vital, profound spirit fruit emerged, chaos would ensue. Whether anyone could seize the fruit amidst the turmoil would depend on their skills and capabilities. Around the lake, the atmosphere tightened with the arrival of various factions. Their gazes met with caution and hostility, heightening the tension in the air. Wei Song and his group stood at a distance, casting cold glances at Lin Dong and his companions. A sneer curled at the corners of Wei Song's mouth, his gaze filled with malice. Naturally, Lin Dong noticed Wei Song's sinister expression, but he merely glanced at him before looking away. Though the Wei clan was no weakling, the only person who caught Lin Dong's interest was the immortal Talisman Master. If they dared to act against him, Lin Dong would show no mercy. No matter their background, he'd deal with them first and ask questions later. Time passed swiftly under the tense atmosphere, and the sun sank lower in the sky. Meanwhile, a crescent moon slowly appeared on the horizon. Buzz. At the exact moment when the sun and moon converged, everyone could feel the sudden surge of primordial energy deep within Xinling Mountain. The ground trembled slightly, and ripples spread across the previously still lake. From the island at the center of the lake, radiant light began to shine. The vital, profound spirit fruit is about to emerge. Gu Yan whispered in a hushed, excited tone as she observed the scene unfold. Hearing this, Lin Dong's spirits lifted, and excitement flickered in his eyes. Rumble. The island at the lake's center shook violently, and the light radiating from the ground grew even more intense. Suddenly, cracks spread across the island's surface, and from beneath the ground, a giant tree with jade-green leaves slowly emerged. The emerald-green tree sprouted like a newborn, stretching its branches and leaves wide. Rings of glowing green patterns emanated from it, radiating an aura of life. These glowing patterns swiftly gathered along the tree's trunk. Among them, 6 points of light shone the brightest. Buzz, buzz. As the glow intensified, it began to solidify. The 6 bright spots condensed into 6 vibrant green fruits, hanging under the tree's leaves, encircled by swirling patterns of light. The fruits brimmed with life, making even the primordial energy in the air seem alive. 6 vital, profound spirit fruits. Gu Yan's eyes sparkled with joy as she gazed at the 6 emerald fruits forming on the tree. So these are the vital, profound spirit fruits? Why didn't the 3-headed demonic flood dragon take them earlier? Lin Dong asked, staring at the tree on the island. A single vital, profound spirit tree can bear 9 fruits, but it only reaches full maturity when the 9th fruit appears. That demonic flood dragon was waiting for the last fruit to form. Unfortunately for it, it seems it won't get the chance, Gu Yan explained. Lin Dong nodded slightly. If the demonic flood dragon had acted decisively and taken the fruits when word first spread, no one would have known about the treasure hidden here. But greed had cost it dearly. Now, it might not get a single fruit. Whoosh! Around the lake, countless burning gazes fixated on the swaying tree and the 6 emerald fruits. The perfect craftsmanship of nature, radiating life, captivated everyone's attention. The sound of heavy breathing filled the air, but surprisingly, no one moved just yet. Lin Dong remained calm, knowing someone would lose patience soon enough. After all, the allure of the vital, profound spirit fruit was not something easy to resist. Swish! Lin Dong's prediction was spot on. Though everyone knew that obtaining the fruits wouldn't be easy, the mere sight of them made even the most composed individuals restless. Within minutes, some could no longer suppress their excitement. Dozens of figures shot toward the island at breakneck speed. Lin Dong watched as the figures dashed forward. The moment they entered the skies above the lake, his eyes sharpened. Boom! The once calm lake erupted with towering water columns. Hidden within the water were pitch-black, razor-sharp spears that shot out, filling the sky and aiming straight for the intruders. The spears carried an extremely potent force. Several unfortunate individuals were slashed by the water spears, and moments later, their wounds turned black as a deadly poison spread through their bodies. Horrific screams echoed as their flesh began to rot at an alarming rate. Splash! With agonizing cries, bodies plunged into the lake, only to be dragged into the depths by unknown forces, their screams fading into silence. As the figures plunged into the lake, an enormous wave erupted from the center, sending massive ripples across the surface. Then, everyone witnessed a colossal shadow rising swiftly from the depths. With a thunderous roar, it broke through the water's surface. Roar! A towering creature emerged, its presence casting a shadow over 100 meters. A ferocious and overwhelming aura radiated from it, blanketing the area in a suffocating tension. Around the lake, the gathered crowd watched the monstrous figure, their faces growing grim. It's finally here. Lin Dong exhaled deeply as he gazed at the massive demonic beast with 3 enormous heads. From its body, he sensed an incredibly dangerous aura, one even more terrifying than Yuan Tsang's had been. Clearly, this creature was the undisputed ruler of Shenling Island, the 3-headed demonic flood dragon. Splash! Water cascaded down like torrential rain from the sky, crashing to the ground, making the very earth tremble under its force. The gigantic shadow loomed from above, spreading a sinister and murderous intent that caused the complexion of everyone present to shift. So this is the 3-headed demonic flood dragon. Lin Dong looked up, his expression serious as he took in the sight of the behemoth before him. Even the portion of its body above the water was hundreds of meters long. Its crimson scales, as tough as the hardest armor, covered its enormous frame, pulsating with immense power. Atop its body were 3 enormous, menacing serpent heads, each crowned with a sharp horn that gleamed with a cold light, sharp enough to tear through the very air itself. Hiss! At that moment, the 3-headed demonic flood dragon's savage red eyes locked onto the crowd around the lake, its murderous aura sending shivers down everyone's spine. You dare covet what belongs to me, foolish mortals. The beast's blood-red maw opened wide, and a chilling, low growl echoed across the skies. Reaching such a powerful state, the 3-headed demonic flood dragon could speak human language. It could even take human form if it wished, though doing so would weaken its battle strength, something it could not afford in this situation. Leave Shinling Island at once, or it won't matter where you come from. None of you will survive. Roar. As it finished speaking, the creature's body tensed and unleashed a deafening roar. A terrifying shockwave blasted out, uprooting the surrounding forest as though a fierce storm had struck, the sheer force of it enough to terrify anyone. Many in the crowd couldn't help but pale in the face of the beast's overt killing intent. After all, this was a genuine minor completion life mystique stage creature, and with its demonic beast physique amplifying its strength, dealing with it would be even more difficult. Though they had numbers on their side, unease still gripped their hearts. Heh, such rare treasures are destined for those who have the fortune to find them. Since we've come here, it proves that fate has brought us together. With 6 vital profound spirit fruits here, do you really think you can take them all for yourself? Wei Song said with a calm smile, breaking the tension caused by the 3-headed demonic flood dragon's display of power. Everyone, although we're competitors, we now face a common enemy. I suggest we join forces to take down this beast first, Wei Song added, his gaze sweeping across the other groups. He was well aware of how difficult the 3-headed demonic flood dragon would be to deal with. If they tried to handle it alone, they would likely suffer significant losses. And with others watching from the sidelines, such a strategy would be foolish. Wei Song's words made the gathered factions exchange glances before nodding in agreement. They understood his thinking, but the situation left them with no choice. Joining forces was the only way to deal with the formidable beast. We should work together. Otherwise, no one will get the vital, profound spirit fruits. A raspy voice suddenly spoke up. It was Emojan, the one-armed man who had been standing alone. This was the first time Lin Dong had heard him speak, and it was clear that his words carried considerable weight, as many turned their attention to him. Haha, Brother Emojan truly sees the bigger picture. I've long heard that your blade technique is unmatched. Today, it seems I'll have the chance to witness it for myself, Wei Song said with a laugh. Emojan gave him a cold glance, unaffected by Wei Song's attempt at camaraderie. Let's move. With that curt command, Emojan was the first to launch an attack. He surged forward, his hand gripping a massive black blade that appeared in his grasp. In midair, he slashed down furiously at the 3-headed demonic flood dragon in the lake below. Boom! A flash of blade light streaked through the air, as a black arc shot toward the beast with incredible speed, slashing across its massive body. Instantly, a deep wound appeared, its tough scales cut through with a single strike. What a sharp blade aura, Lin Dong muttered, eyes narrowing. Emojan's blade technique was indeed fearsome, strong enough to wound even a minor completion life mystique stage opponent. Roar. The beast's roar of rage shattered the standoff as its serpent eyes glowed a deeper red. Its 3 massive heads reared back before spewing 3 putrid black beams directly at Emojan. Emojan hovered midair, stepping with an unusual rhythm that allowed him to narrowly dodge 3 intersecting black beams of light. Behind him, several unfortunate souls were struck by the beams, their agonized screams filling the air as they were reduced to smoking skeletons. The energy from these 3 demonic flood dragons was clearly laced with a terrifyingly potent poison. Attack! The air of calm was shattered as the surrounding forces, their eyes now bloodshot, surged forward with a rustle of wind. A multitude of figures sprang into action, launching fierce attacks that enveloped the 3-headed demonic flood dragon. We should join in too, but everyone, be careful, Gu Yin whispered softly as she watched the chaos unfold. Choosing not to act now, amidst the frenzy, would likely turn them into targets. The idea of reaping the benefits without effort seemed even more impossible. Lin Dong, if we find an opportunity, we'll create an opening for you to seize the vital, profound spirit fruit. How does that sound? Gu Yan's beautiful eyes rested on Lin Dong as she posed her question. Okay, Lin Dong nodded. The chaotic scene was indeed a distraction, and with Gu Yin and her group's interference, it would save him considerable effort. Without further hesitation, Lin Dong sprang into action, a surge of azure light emanating from his body. With a powerful punch, he launched a forceful gale straight at one of the demonic flood dragon's massive bodies. Bang! However, His fierce attack only managed to dent the dragon's scales slightly. Such minimal damage was insignificant to the gigantic creature. "What strong defenses," Lin Dong muttered, clicking his tongue in exasperation. The demonic beast at the minor completion of the life mystique stage lived up to its reputation. Boom, boom, boom. As Lin Dong and his group joined the fray, the battlefield above the lake became even more chaotic. Figures flitted back and forth as if in a torrential downpour, their relentless attacks crashing onto the monstrous bodies of the three-headed demonic flood dragon. Despite the numerous and ferocious attacks, the demonic flood dragons showed no signs of disadvantage. Their three serpentine heads swayed, unleashing columns of noxious black light. Anyone caught in them, even powerhouses at the 9th Nirvana stage, screamed as their flesh melted away, desperately summoning all their primordial energy to fend off the toxic assault. Plop, plop. Amidst the fierce exchanges, figures continually fell into the lake below. The once clear water turned crimson with blood, a testament to the ferocity of the battle. Lin Dong retreated a step, dodging a black beam that grazed past his chest. His eyes glanced at the still thriving three-headed dragon besieged by 100 warriors, a faint sheen in his eyes. The strength of these demonic flood dragons was indeed formidable, but being outnumbered, their power would eventually wane. Once their strength diminished, the temporary alliance among the attackers would quickly crumble, and those who had fought together would turn their blades on one another without hesitation. Lin Dong's gaze flickered as it swept over the lake, now turned red with blood. He detected a subtle yet unmistakable ripple below, spiritual energy. Narrowing his eyes, Lin Dong fixed his gaze on the men from the Wei clan. As expected, the black-clad figure at their center began to slow, evidently preoccupied with controlling something. Couldn't resist being underhanded, could they? Lin Dong chuckled coldly. Using his dodging momentum, he landed on the lake surface. As his foot touched the water, a streak of golden light shot from beneath his feet, diving into the depths, while his true form dashed back into the chaotic battlefield. Boom, boom. The chaos continued unabated, becoming even more frenzied. On the small island, 6 vital profound spirit fruits started emitting verdant halos, their lure-turning eyes increasingly scarlet. Several sharp attacks descended from above, crashing mercilessly onto the enormous body of the three-headed demonic flood dragon. The deep, muffled booms sent massive waves rippling through the surrounding waters. Thud. Despite the multitude of powerhouses attacking, the three-headed dragon's ferocity remained unchecked. With a sweep of its vast energy, serpentine water phantoms formed around it, sending a dozen powerhouses reeling back, bloodied and shaken. The strength of this three-headed demonic flood dragon was indeed astounding. Even Lin Dong would face a grueling battle in a one-on-one confrontation. However, given the current situation, where every combatant was seasoned and powerful, the dragon's momentum began to falter. This shift invigorated the attackers, intensifying their assault like a relentless storm. Roar. Faced with this onslaught, the three-headed flood dragon grew even more agitated. However, its intelligence was formidable. After a moment of red flickering in its eyes, its immense form sank abruptly back into the lake, as if conceding defeat. Phew. In midair, the hovering powerhouses caught their breath, relief flashing in their eyes as they watched the demonic dragon retreat. It seemed the collective strength of numbers was a force to be reckoned with. Without it, vanquishing the dragon would have been impossible. Has it retreated just like that? Lin Dong looked at the gradually calming lake with no trace of joy in his eyes, only a furrowed brow. Such a cunning creature. It's waiting for everyone here to fight over the vital, profound spirit fruit, so it can swoop in and reap the benefits, Gu Yen said gravely. The 3 demonic flood dragons were well aware that if everyone turned against them, they wouldn't last long. However, these people weren't united. Driven by the temptation of the vital, profound spirit fruit, their so-called cooperation would soon crumble. When that happened, they wouldn't need to lift a finger. Everyone would start fighting amongst themselves. Many people here probably understand that, but no one can resist it. Lin Dong nodded slightly, his eyes scanning the sky. He could sense the atmosphere becoming more tense and uneasy. Some people's eyes flickered, and those who had stood close together now started backing away cautiously. Buzz. Amidst the strange tension, the vital, profound spirit tree on the small island swayed gently in the breeze, emitting a soft hum. The 6 fruits hanging from its branches glimmered temptingly. Swoosh. The eerie atmosphere didn't last long. Greed flashed in many eyes, and within moments, over a dozen figures suddenly turned and dashed towards the small island at top speed. Whoosh. However, just as they moved, sharp and chilling blasts of energy shot down from above, slamming into several of them. A few unfortunate individuals were sent crashing into the lake, coughing up blood. The uneasy tension in the air shattered instantly. Any trace of prior cooperation dissolved, replaced by a frenzied bloodlust in everyone's eyes as they all charged forward. Make your move. Lin Dong's eyes narrowed as he shouted coldly. Without hesitation, his figure shot forward. Behind him, Gu Yin and the others followed closely, their eyes alert to the surrounding chaos. Boom, boom, boom. The sky had descended into complete chaos. The lure of the vital, profound spirit fruit had turned everyone rabid with greed. Anyone in their way, as long as they weren't from the same faction, was attacked without mercy. The so-called cooperation seemed pitifully fragile and laughable in the face of such temptation. Lin Dong moved swiftly, dodging several sharp attacks as he darted toward the island. Just as he neared it, a sudden burst of sinister energy blasted toward him from the right. Bang! Lin Dong's eyes flashed coldly as he spun around, launching a punch that shattered the incoming attack. He turned to see 4 figures glaring at him menacingly. You again. Persistent bunch, aren't you? Lin Dong's eyes grew colder as he recognized the 4 members of the Black Dragon Bandits, the same ones who had earlier lured the demonic beasts toward them. Heh, this one's tougher than we thought. One of the Black Dragon Bandits chuckled darkly as he saw Lin Dong effortlessly shatter their combined attack. Lin Dong's gaze was icy as he stared at them. Without a word, his figure blurred into a shadow, charging straight at the 4 of them. Watch out! The 4 bandits' faces changed, clearly not expecting Lin Dong to strike so decisively. However, they were seasoned fighters, and immediately summoned their powerful primordial energy. With a fierce roar, they combined their forces into a single, overwhelming punch aimed at Lin Dong. Boom! Blinding azure light exploded from Lin Dong's body as he swung his leg fiercely, azure energy swirling around it like a dragon's tail. Crack! His leg whipped through the air, the force so intense it shattered the air itself before colliding with the Black Dragon Bandits' combined attack. You're courting death. The bandit sneered, thinking Lin Dong was foolish to challenge all 4 of them at once. Yet, before their smirks could widen, they froze in shock. An incredibly powerful force surged through the impact point, overwhelming them. Bang! Their combined attack disintegrated in an instant. Thud! The devastating force tore through their bodies, turning their faces pale as they spat blood. Their bodies were sent hurtling backward like cannonballs, crashing into the lake below with a splash. Such strength! Even amidst the chaos in the sky, several onlookers couldn't help but tense up after witnessing Lin Dong's brutal strike. Although they had seen him fight before at the foot of the mountain, now he had single-handedly taken down 4 members of the Black Dragon Bandits, all of whom were at the peak of the 9th Nirvana stage. Each of them was stronger than Lu Jian, and their combined might could rival a half-step life mystique stage fighter. Yet, even so, Lin Dong had sent them flying with a single kick. Many present began to take this seemingly 9th Nirvana stage fighter much more seriously. That kid. Not far away, Wei Song caught sight of the scene. His expression darkened for a moment before he sneered, turning toward the small island and darting toward it at lightning speed. Swoosh! Just as Wei Song moved, a razor-sharp blade of energy suddenly descended from above, forcing him to retreat hastily. He looked up, his face twisted in a grimace, only to see the one-armed Emo Jean glancing at him coldly. If Brother Emo has the time to play, I'll gladly join, Wei Song said with a casual smile. With a flick of his wrist, a long spear appeared in his hand. His figure shot forward, clashing with Emo Jean, their fierce battle commencing in midair. The chaos in the sky continued unabated, but anyone who dared to approach within 100 zhang of the small island was immediately bombarded by attacks from all directions. This strange situation effectively deterred anyone from interfering in that area. Since no one wants to touch the vital, profound spirit fruit, I guess I'll have to enjoy it myself. However, just as the stalemate persisted, a soft chuckle suddenly echoed from the air. Then, the lake water around the island exploded as a somewhat translucent figure shot out like lightning, heading straight for the vital, profound spirit tree. A spiritual entity? An immortal talisman master? In midair, the crowd's expressions immediately changed as their gazes swiftly turned toward the Wei family's forces, where a man in black extended his hand, waves of powerful spiritual energy rapidly emanating from him. A spiritual entity is typically only condensed when one's strength reaches the level of an immortal talisman master. In some ways, it resembles an essence spirit, but compared to the essence spirit, the spiritual entity appears even more elusive and mysterious. Swoosh! The speed of the spiritual entity was astonishing. In a flash, it was nearing the vital, profound spirit tree. However, just as it was about to make its move, a cold smile curled up on Lin Dong's lips from afar in the sky. Whoosh!